Hello and welcome back to another mystical math movie. Today, you get to play the psychiatrist and solve all of math's problems. We're going to be covering Chapter 4, Lesson 3, where we're going to be comparing, ordering, fractions, decimals, and percents on page 162. Let's go ahead and let's get started. In this lesson, we're going to be using all of the previous skills that we've learned in the two lessons prior and using them together in this lesson. What we're going to be giving is several different percents, fractions, or decimals, and we're going to be asked to put them in order or to tell which one is greater. So to do that, when we're comparing, you have three different options. Your first option is you could choose to put them all into fractions. You could choose to put them all into decimals, or you could choose to put them all as percents. It doesn't matter which one you choose. You could choose your preferred method, the one you like to do best or the one you know how to do the best. As long as you put all of the numbers that you're given into the same form, you'll get the right answer. So here we are given which one is greater, 3 over 20 or 16%. So remember, to solve this, option number 1, put them all as fractions. Option number 2, put them all as decimals. Or option number 3, put them all as percents. Doesn't matter. I'll show you two ways. I'll show you a couple of ways. Let's see. First, let's do it by decimal. Right? Let's change both of these into decimals. We have 16%, and to put that as a decimal, it's you remember you move your percentage sign two places to the left, so we're going to get 0.16. Now we're going to have to put 3 over 20 as a decimal, and to put 3 over 20 as a decimal, we do numerator divided by the denominator. Remember? And then we can't do that, so we add a 0 and a decimal point. 20 goes into 30 one time. 20 times 1 is 20. Then we're going to subtract, add another 0. 20 goes into 100 5 times. And so I can stop right here because look at what I have. I have 0.15 here and 0.16 here. Which one is greater? The 0.16 is, so I know that 16% is going to be greater than 3 over 20. So if you wanted to change them both into decimals, that's how you would do that. Now let's say you don't like to do that and you wanted to do a different way. You don't want to turn them into decimals, you want to use fractions because you already have a fraction here. We already have 3 over 20 as a fraction, so let's turn 16% into a fraction. And remember, to do that, we take the percent, and because it's over 100, we put it over 100. Now what we're going to need to do is we're going to have the same denominators. So here we have a denominator of 100, here a denominator of 20. I can get a common denominator if I multiply 3 over 20 times 5. 20 times 5 will give me that same denominator right here. See, I want 100. I want a common denominator. So I had to multiply the numerator. 5 times 3 gives me 15. And again, I see that 16 over 100 is greater than 15 over 100. The last way that we could do this is to turn both of these into a percent. And we already have 1%, 16%, and so we need to turn 3 over 20 into a percent. And there's a couple of ways to do that as well. Let's go ahead and divide 3 divided by 20. Even though we've already done this, I want to show you. That doesn't work, so you add a decimal and you add your 0. 20 goes into 30 one time. 20 times 1 is 20. Subtract, oops, that's going to be 0. That's going to be 1, sorry. Bring down the 0. 20 goes into 100 5 times, so now I have 0.15. And I want to change this into a percent, so I move it 2 times, and I get 15%. Well, which one is greater? 15% or 16%? The answer is still 16%. So any way that you choose to solve these problems, whether it's a fraction, a decimal, or a percent, as long as you convert correctly, you're going to get the right answer, and it doesn't matter which method you choose. Let's try another example. Which one is greater, 79% or 0.08? Remember, you could choose any method you want, fractions, decimals, or percent. I'm going to stay away from fractions on this one just because I already have percents and decimals, so this is going to be pretty easy to do. You can change either one into a decimal or the other one into a percent, doesn't matter. I'm going to choose percent just because. So we have 79% is going to stay there like it is. And then we got to turn 0.08 into a percent, so we move it 2 times and we get 8%. Well, clearly, which one is bigger? Which one is greater? 79%. So that's going to be our answer. Here's 2 for you to try following the same method. Either you're going to turn them all into decimals or all into percents. You have 25% or 7 over 25. Number 2 is 0.49 or 94%. So pause this video here, see if you could do these 2, and then unpause it when you're ready for the answer. Now, I might not choose the same method as you did, and that's okay. As long as you get the same final answer as I do, then you know you're doing it right. For number 1, I'm going to choose to make them a fraction. So I'm going to put 25%, and I know that it needs to go over 100. So now I have 2 fractions, don't I? I have 25 over 100 and 7 over 25. And so to get those same denominators, I'm going to multiply this one by 4. And so 7 times 4 is 28, and 25 times 4 is 100. So now I'm going to compare these 2 fractions now that my denominator is the same. What's greater, 28 over 100 or 25 over 100? The answer is going to be 7 over 25 because when we have the same denominator, it's greater than 25%. So my answer is 7 over 25. Now you might have put those both into fractions like I did, or maybe you changed them both into decimals, or maybe you turned 7 over 25 into a decimal and then put it as a percent. Anyway, it'll be all right. Now number 2, I see that I have a decimal and a percent, so I'm not going to mess with fractions on this one. I have 94%, and I'm going to leave that like it is. And I'm going to change 0.49 into a percent by moving it 2 places to the right and getting 49%. Now I can easily tell which one is greater, and I can see without a doubt that 94% is bigger. This will be the last problem that we do, and the only thing that's different is that we're given 3 numbers instead of just 2. This is actually example number 2, the real-life application. I just didn't write down the whole problem. But here's what it says. You, your sister, and a friend each take the same number of shots at a soccer goal. You make 72% of your shots. That's where we get this 72%. Your sister makes 19 out of 25 of her shots, so 19 over 25 of her shots. And your friend makes 0.67 of his shots, right here. Now we're looking for who made the fewest shots. So we're looking for the lowest number. Now what we need to do is we need to put these all into either a fraction, a decimal, or into a percent. And it doesn't matter which one as long as we do it all the same. We have one of each. I'm going to turn them into, let's do a decimal. I have 0.67 already as a decimal right here. And I can turn 72% into a decimal rather quickly by just moving the percent sign 2 places to the left. So I already have 2 decimals that I can compare. This is going to be my friend. This is me. And we'll put our sister's score right there. And now we just need to take our sister's score, which is 19 over 25, and we need to change it into a decimal. And I can do that by doing 19 divided by 25. Now 25 doesn't go into 19, so I need to add a decimal point and add a 0. And how many times does 25 go into 190? I think it's going to be 7. Let's just double check. 25 times 7, we get 35. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 3 is 175, so I know that that's right. So we're going to do 7, and then we're going to subtract 175. That is going to give us 10 minus 5 is 5. 8 minus 1 is 8 minus 7 is 1, excuse me. Add another 0, bring it down. 25 goes into 150 6 times. 6 times 25 is 150. And so my sister, she made 7.76 of her shots. So the question asked us, who made the fewest number of their shots? And the answer is, our friend did. He or she only made 0.67, while my sister and I made 0.72 and 0.76. All right, mathematicians, that brings us to the end of this section. 4.3, comparing and ordering fractions, decimals, and percents. We wrapped it up, putting together our chapter here. We got 2 more to go, and then it'll be test time. Today's a joke is what happened to the plant in math class? It grew square roots. All right, guys, I thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time as we tackle Chapter 4, Section 4.